This is Karen, and it is Tuesday afternoon, and it is time for What in the World with
me, Paul Seaburn. Hey, everybody, how you doing? I'm here.
You're here. Yep.
We'll pick up on the enthusiasm lag in a second here. I was just telling Karen and John I'm recovering from getting the booster shot and all that other stuff. So, but we're good. We're good. We got some great stories for you here at What in the World. Thank you for that introduction, Karen Hale, who is our New Cleveland Net and host on the show, and also on the screen is John DiNallo, my old friend, our color commentator, and What in the World of Sports host. So, hi, John.
Hey, Paul. Hey, Karen.
Hey, John. Yeah.
For those of you watching us on YouTube, either live or in the future, you'll notice that John has his Cleveland Browns shirt on. He has moved on from the Indians, now called the Guardians, and changed sports. So John is like the leaves. You know, you can tell what season it is by the shirt that he has on.
Well, next week he'll wear calves.
Yeah, he'll get to the Cavs, and then eventually, I don't know. Do we have a hockey team anymore? Oh, no. John will be wearing the uniform of the sport he's going to talk about today.
Oh, okay.
Oh, boy.
So anyways, it's a beautiful day in Northeast Ohio today. Lovely weather. The leaves are starting to fall. But that's not why you're here for the weather report. You're here because we talk about weird news. That's our motto. Real news, sometimes strange, always funny. I am the editor and head writer at mysteriousuniverse.org, and I spend all my waking hours and sometimes when I'm asleep scanning the internet for the strange and unusual stories that we bring to you every week here on What in the World. You can also pick up some of them on at mysteriousuniverse.org, and when it's working, on Facebook.
That was good.
That's all we'll say about that. Because remember, you're here for not for the bad news, for the political news, for the dumb business news, for any of that stuff. You're here for fun, silly, strange, unusual news. That's what you get at What in the World. So thank you for joining us an hour, whether you're on a podcast or watching us on YouTube. Welcome. Like us, click on us, whatever it is that you do on your platform so that we know you're there. You can also send me messages on Facebook when it's working.
When it's working.
Okay, excuse me. I hope my pollen allergy is clears up over here. So anyways, we've got some great stories for you as always. I always say I can't top last week. I think once again, this is a lot of space stuff this week. I'm talking about Albert Einstein. Everybody remembers Albert Einstein. New story was leaked this week that he may have gone to Roswell and seen the crashed spaceship and the aliens back in 1947. Brand new news, hot off the presses. A very popular story. So you're going to get the gory details here. Loch Ness Monster wins a popularity contest in England. So I would have voted for the Loch Ness Monster, my favorite monster. But the interesting story is the monsters that lost to the Loch Ness Monster. So we're going to we're going to learn a little some new creatures. Actors in space. We were just talking about this beforehand. Captain Kirk is going up in space next week. There's already an actress in space as we speak. So we'll be talking about both of them. Yellow whales in California. Have you ever seen a yellow whale? Probably not.
No.
Stick around. You're going to see one today. Good reason to watch us on YouTube. Humor is a sign of intelligence in children. A new study proved that. I believe that. We'll talk a little bit about that. World's smallest cow. We're going to talk about that. Was in Bangladesh. The Wienermobile. They're talking about sending the Wienermobile to the moon.
No.
Karen's favorite. Well, there's 6 of them, Karen.
Oh, okay.
We're going to talk a little bit about that and about the Wiener. I found out something new about the Wienermobile I never knew. And of course, if we have them, unusual world records, strange news, trivia. We always like to have some trivia. And of course, strange sports with John DiNallo. And we close everything out with everybody's favorite weird news story, weird news game, Bluff the co-host. A good friend of mine, I want to give a shout out to him. down in Austin, Texas. Mark watches us or listens to us on the podcast, and he claims that Kim Commando, who also has a longtime radio computer show and podcast, she has stolen Bluff the co-host from us and sent me a
No.
link. Yeah. Now,
Oh my.
I know, I used to say this when I taught writing in the comedy world, that if you're good enough, if you're good enough to be stolen from, that means you're pretty good.
We
So-
are. Yes.
Yeah, we are. So
I would think so too. Yes.
yeah, Kim, have at it. Or come on. Come up with your
Enjoy.
own game. Yeah, yeah. So anyway, let's get right to it here. A lot of space stuff today, as I mentioned. But first, we're going to start with one of my favorite stories, an animal story. So this comes from Anchorage, Alaska. People in Anchorage, Alaska are complaining to local wildlife officials because river otters are attacking them in some of the parks and outdoor areas in Anchorage. And if you've never seen a river otter, I think I have a picture of one right here. Let's take a look. Oh, this is the warning sign. The warning sign, it says a group of otters recently attacked dogs and bit a person near the lake. What part of the body is the lake? Use caution when in or near the water. Now, river otters are anywhere from like 10 to 30 pounds. So 30 pounds would be like a small dog, I guess, a
Yeah.
medium dog. But the poor wildlife officials, they don't know what to do. They got so many other animal problems on their hands. They're just telling people, if it's not one thing, it's an otter. If it's not one thing, it's the otter. That's pun. I need my
Yeah.
pun alert horn here.
Where's your horn at?
We
Where's
got
your-
that.
your
That's
horn?
right. We'll have to go looking for it. So yeah, I've never seen an otter in the wild. They're members of the muskrat family, and I think we have muskrats around here in Northeast Ohio. So if you're listening to us in Anchorage, watch out for the river otters, because if it's not one thing, it's an otter, as we say in Cleveland. So now let's get right to Karen's big concern of the week: the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile going to the moon. So I know Karen loves to look at the Wienermobile because
I
she
do.
really- where'd it go? That's
Just
not the
passed it.
Wienermobile. Did I go past?
No,
it? I
yeah, you went
fast.
past.
There
There
it
it
is, right
is.
there. Okay. So that's the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile. We did a story a while ago where they were looking for drivers, and I think Karen wanted to apply.
I did.
Yeah, it's a good paying job. All you have to do is remember to say, when people say, "Where's the bathroom?" You're supposed to say, "It's not a weenie bagel." That's
That's
what they tell the
good.
drivers. Yeah, that's the whole thing. And don't get into an accident. So anyways, NASA is looking for ideas. When they send the next group of humans to the moon, they want a new moon buggy. Excuse me. If you remember, that's what my next picture was here. Back in the 70s, Apollos 15, 16, and 17, each one of those flights took a little electric car the size of a dune buggy up to the moon and drove it around. So we'll talk about that for a second, but let's get back to the Wienermobile here. So NASA says, hey, send us some ideas. And Oscar Mayer said, hey, we'll send you, we'll give you one of the Wienermobiles to take up to space. This would not be the first hot dog in space. Jeff Bezos, Jeff Bezos is the first hot dog, wearing that cowboy hat up on his silly little Blue Origin flight. But anyways, if you think about it, and Karen, I know you're an expert on the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile, you would point out to me that you can't have it up there because it's a gasoline powered vehicle, which is true.
Yeah, that's true.
It's the platform itself is the GMC truck. The frame, which they then modify to bear the massive weight of the knockwurst and bun that's above, that's planted on top of it. So it's. But by the way, I just want to mention this. I lived in Texas for 28 years, and a little known fact: in Texas, the Wienermobile has a gun rack.
Really?
Yeah. Right in the back. It looks like it's pooping or something. I don't know, out of the end of the wiener. Anyway, so the Wienermobile has evolved. It was when it came out in the 1930s, it was on a Jeep chassis. So since then it's gotten bigger. I think we mentioned this at one time. The tail lights they took from a Thunderbird. So it has those cool flashing tail lights that flash in a horizontal line. But Karen, maybe this is where you need to focus your time. They're actually building a mini version of it based on a Mini Cooper chassis.
Wow.
Yeah, probably be half of that. You drive your little Beetle, you'd be perfect for that.
I would like it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's called the Cocktail Wienermobile.
Oh.
No, that's seriously. They are
Okay.
doing a Mini Cooper version. It's in test right now. It's been in test since 2008. They test the heck out of these things. So
Yeah.
now the moon buggy, John, I know you remember that. That was back in the days when we all watched our every moon launch. We watched them in school. That was part of our education, was to
Yep.
watch the launches. Learn about the science of what they were doing up there. So Apollos 15 and 17 in 1971 and 1972, each one of them took a moon buggy. It was called the Lunar Roving Vehicle, battery powered, 4 wheels. I think I had that picture up. There we go again. The tires were not your standard rubber tires. I think they were some kind of metal mesh, which was kind of cool. The built by Boeing. So oh boy, there goes. Excuse me while I drink some water here.
You sure that's water now?
yeah, definitely.
Okay.
So the built by Boeing carried a maximum payload of 1,080 pounds, which had to include 2 astronaut equipment and moon rocks, and it was designed for a top speed of 8 miles an hour, but the Apollo 17 crew actually cranked it up to 12 miles an hour. And we talked about the little rovers that are on Mars now. These moon buggies were phenomenal compared to those. It reached 12 miles an hour. This particular one, this is Apollo 17. That's Gene Cernan driving it. He drove that between the two of them. They drove it for almost 23 miles in just 2 days while they were on the moon. 23 miles. So it's like all they did was drive back and forth. 4 hours. They spent a total of 4.5 hours driving, and they because NASA was afraid that the moon buggy might run out of battery, they were not allowed to go farther than their battery packs on their oxygen tanks in their spacesuits could carry them to bring them back. So they were not allowed to go farther than about 4.7 miles away from the lunar lander. That's still a long way, 4.7 miles. Those Mars rovers have been up there for years, and some of them haven't even gone a total of a mile in years of driving around. So this was really cool technology. I hope they don't send them. Sorry, Karen. I hope they don't send them the Wienermobile. They send something that
I agree.
modern, lets everybody drive around, go up and down those dunes over there, and have fun and have a good time. Speaking of somebody who's going to have a good time in space, and John was mentioning this before the show, everybody's favorite space captain, Captain Kirk, William Shatner, is going up in space. We talked about this last week. It was a rumor. It was confirmed this week. Blue Origin says, yes, we will be sending William Shatner into space on October 12th. Now, regular listeners will know that space in this case is a misnomer because they're only going like about 50 miles up. And I think space begins at 60 miles. So technically, 60 miles. So technically they're going to near space, but 90-year-old Captain Kirk doesn't care. He can't wait. I think, Karen, you mentioned he designed his own spacesuit.
That's right. I heard that he designed his own spacesuit.
I wonder, I know it's not going to be a red jersey because the red uniforms never came back from the away missions. So I know he didn't do that. So yeah, October 12th, I think that's the formerly known as Columbus Day. He will be 90 years old, the oldest person ever to fly in space. If that happens, he's so old, they reduced the countdown to 1. You know, I don't need 10. Yeah, hurry up. He's so old, his seat is also a space lazy boy. That's how old he is. He's so old, the shuttle splashdown was scheduled to take place before 4 p.m. so he could get back in time for dinner. That's how old William Shatner is. And God bless him. Good luck to him. We'll, I don't know what day that is next week. Hopefully we'll be talking about his successful mission.
I think it's during our show.
Oh, we should have a remote. Yeah, while he's coming down. He could say, beam me up, Karen.
Yep, we could.
Prior to, so he hasn't gone up yet, but there's already an actor in space. This happened today. We are just on top of space news today. The Russians have sent up an actress. I'll see if I can mangle her name, Julia Peresild, and a director, Klim Shipenko. And they are right now, they launched this morning, they are now on the International Space Station, and they're getting ready to film scenes from a movie called The Challenge, a full-length space-oriented movie, not a fiction movie, not a documentary, about a medical emergency in space. How cool is that?
It is. Yeah.
William Shatner heard about it. He says they're doing it in the wrong sequence. You know, you do the movie and then you go into space like he is. So Tom Cruise wanted it. Tom Cruise wanted to be the first actor in space. He didn't get it, so now he's not interested anymore. So I think they had to offer it to, they had to make it a comedy, for one thing, to make it different from the Russian. And they ought to offer it to Jim Carrey.
Ooh.
I think Jim, yeah, he could call it Ace Ventura, Leak Detective. He goes around looking for the leaks in the space station with gum and duct tape and just having a good old time, making faces and probably passing gas. That's probably how he finds the leak, by passing gas.
Probably.
Yeah, you know, that was his. How would you like that to be your claim to fame, John? If you were a movie actor, not an actress. Although I don't know, John, you know, I haven't talked to you in a week, so.
That's good.
You think I've changed already? What's going on here?
Boy, I'm going to deviate for a second here. Boy, did I get grief this week. And I'm not going to talk about this story, but Demi Lovato, another actress, was in the news about a UFO experience. And I made the grievous mistake of not referring to her by the proper pronoun, because she goes by they and them and whatever else is in there, because she's a multi-gender or something. So whatever it is, I used the wrong pronoun. And it was like people just ignored the story completely. All they did was point out to me that I used the wrong pronoun. Like Demi is reading it and she's going to call me up and say, you know, I'm a they.
She called the station. I forgot to tell you.
Oh, she did. Well, I apologize. Demi, if you are listening, you're a wonderful actress. You're a nice person. I support you. I apologize. Next time I write an article about you, I'll use the right pronoun. But in the meantime, suck it up, lady. So another space story. This is, I told you, this is Space Week. So the makers of Barbie, which I believe is Mattel, have joined forces with the European Space Agency to make a space Barbie to entice and encourage younger girls who play with Barbie dolls still to go into space-related fields, and not just space-related, but you know, science, the STEM, the science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So you know, this is one of those things that sounds like a good idea, and yet it just shows how backwards we are, because we think the only way to encourage little girls to study technology is to give them a doll in an astronaut outfit,
Right.
Which doesn't make any sense. But if that's what it takes, then great, because we need more girls in science and technology. We need more women. When I was in technology back, I'm not going to tell you how many years ago it was. There were plenty of women. You know, we at the companies I worked for, we generally hired more women than men. in the technology support fields that we were doing, those jobs. And then they just went away for a variety of reasons, which we're not going to get into because that's bad news. But my question is, if they've got a space Barbie, what is Space Ken doing? My guess is he's driving the bus that takes all the astronauts to the launch pad, and then he turns around and he goes back and watches. You know, and of course it has to be a double wide capsule because Barbie's got so many clothes, even for a 10-minute flight. Yeah, you know, like we were talking about that with John. That Captain Kirk is only going to be in space for 10 minutes, 10 whole minutes. That doesn't sound like a lot, but that's enough time to shoot Khan. So, you know, or a couple of Klingons or whatever.
You could do it in that time. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. You know, the Wrath of Khan. Oh yeah, I may be 90, but I can still shoot out this window. How do I open this window?
Oh Lord.
That's my Captain Kirk impression. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Now we go to Mars. NASA's Ingenuity helicopter, which has been flying all over the place. That's the next generation. But it's been temporarily shut down. Not only because Mars is on the wrong side of the sun right now, so they're not getting solar power to charge the batteries, but their servo motor, which makes the propellers turn around, had some kind of software anomaly, and it's due to the Martian seasonal change. So as stuff gets colder during the winter season on Mars, it doesn't work. So the buggies, the rovers don't work. The helicopter doesn't work. You know, John, I still remember how to start a car in a cold garage. Maybe we should get a job at NASA and teach these young whippersnapper engineers how to start up a helicopter on Mars when it's cold.
Well, we're just the people to do it.
We certainly are. What a better crew than us to do that. Okay, so okay, I'm gonna take this picture down here for a second. We stared at the dune buggy long enough. Dune buggy. I keep calling it. It's the moon buggy. Please don't write in Demi Lovato. You know, wherever they are, don't bother. This comes from Turkey. New study from Turkey. Children with higher levels of general knowledge and verbal reasoning, in other words, smart kids, are better able to produce humor, and which shows that the link between humor and high intelligence is stronger in children than it is in adults, which means that fart jokes are a sign of high intelligence. So, you know, I don't want to hear any more about my childish fart jokes. I'm helping little kids and their intelligence. But
Did you think so?
Back when I lived in Texas, I taught a class called Creative Thinking Through Comedy, which was basically a comedy writing class for 4th and 5th graders. And there are days when I wish I could get in contact with some of them because they would be in there, they would be working by now. And I often wonder, they were just so funny, just so clever and creative and funny. I encouraged a lot of them and their parents to direct, especially the women, to direct them into entertainment related fields. Another career path that we don't have enough women in. So have I given women enough credit in this?
I appreciate you today.
All right, thank you. So were we talking about weather? Okay, we're going to talk about weather. It's been a record hot summer in a lot of areas in North America, like California, for example. At the other end of the bottom of the Earth in Antarctica, it's winter, and this has been the coldest winter on record in Antarctica. So, you know, I'm sure the people who argue about whether it's global warming or global cooling are going to pick up on this, but their average this year was minus 78 degrees Celsius.
Wow.
Minus 61 Celsius, minus 78 Fahrenheit, which is pretty cold. 4.5 degrees lower than the average for the last 30 years. So really, really cold. How cold was it, you ask? Antarctica is so cold. It's the only place in the world where the McDonald's ice cream machine actually works. That's how cold. It's so cold. The king penguins, those giant penguins, are actually complaining about suffering from shrinkage. That's how cold it is. Kids, that's not a fart joke. That's the other kind of joke.
Yes, right.
Yes, we understand.
Okay, so I knew I had a Bigfoot story in here somewhere, and this comes from Whitehall, which is the Bigfoot capital of the United States. Self-declared Bigfoot capital. It's in New York. Have plenty of Bigfoot sightings. We've talked about Whitehall before. Every year they hold the annual Whitehall Sasquatch Festival and Sasquatch Calling Contest. John, here's another event for the two of us one of these days.
Okay.
Yeah. So the winner this year, I have a video, a picture and a video here. Let's see. There's the dune buggy. So this is one of the contestants here. So you got to really get into it. This was not the winner. I think he came in second. I don't have a picture of the winner. His name, by the way, was Grant Kennedy. So Grant, congratulations. This guy, I did hear an audio of him, and he pretty much was roaring like a wounded lion.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but I do have a picture of what he would look like had he been actually moving. Now, here's another guy calling for Bigfoot. He's out in the woods, and he's got his hands up to his mouth, and he's doing kind of the ooh, 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 ooh kind of thing. And you can always tell if your Bigfoot call is working. In fact, at the Sasquatch Festival, Grant Kennedy's was so good, he got a police escort while he was leaving because they were afraid that a female Bigfoot would be chasing after him. But what also happens, what also happens when you call Bigfoot like this guy is doing, is Bigfoot shows up and plays the saxophone.
Oh my God.
That is if the internet is back up and running. I believe this is on Facebook. It's also on YouTube. His name is Sax Squatch, SAXSQUATCH, and he's in a Bigfoot costume and he plays a mean saxophone.
Yes, he does.
So anyway, I mentioned the yellow whales. I've never heard of a yellow whale. Apparently, they're a thing and very rare. They showed up in California, off the coast of Southern California. So people are on the beach. They look out. There's this yellow whale swimming by. They're not sure that they think it's a goose-beaked whale, and you can see that whale has a like a bill, like a duck or a goose bill, and a big mouth. So that
almost looks like a dolphin.
Almost does look like a dolphin. Yes, I think they're very closely related, Karen. Good. See, you pick up a lot of things scientific on this show.
You do. Yep.
But they don't know why a few of them turn yellow. The only thing, I feel sorry for them because nobody's ever going to write a book about them. Who wants to read a book called Lemony Dick? But a very pretty animal, by the way.
Yes.
I think they're cool. So I hope nothing happens to them and they go back to wherever it is they came from. Now, some sad news. This is about the world's smallest cow. Take a look at that right there. This cow was born in Bangladesh. World's smallest cow. That's an adult cow. That is not a baby cow. It's an adult cow. And those two guys measuring it sent their measurements to the Guinness World Record people because that cow is only 20 inches high at the shoulder. So, it could easily walk underneath a full-size cow without bumping its back. That's how small it is. Wow. So they sent the information to Guinness, and Guinness finally confirmed it. Unfortunately, the poor cow passed on to wherever the cows go, or it got the award because it had a buildup of gas in its stomach. So apparently not everything was working correctly. But he still posthumously got the world record for the world's smallest cow. So the other cows, of course, wanted to give it a proper send-off based on what finally did it in. So they gave it a 21 fart salute. There you go. 2 fart jokes in one show. What are the odds?
Oh my gosh.
So I'm going to skip that story right there. Well, let's go on to, so one more space story, and then we'll move on to Albert Einstein. So the NASA Hubble telescope is pointed at Jupiter, and they just found out that Jupiter's great white spot, which is its most famous characteristic, a giant cloud, 10,000 miles wide, is acting up, and the winds are picking up. They're clocking at 400 miles per hour in a 10,000 mile wide cloud, which is pretty scary. So scary that the Hubble telescope, they've kept it pointed at Jupiter, and they cranked it up to see if they can get to the surface and see if there's any Jupiter aliens stocking up on toilet paper, because that would be a sign that this is a big event. And that's a sign, and we're done with that.
Okay.
So let's take down this poor little cow here. Cute little cow, but sorry to hear that. Now, in 1947, my paranormal fans will know that date. It's burned into their mind. That's when allegedly an alien spaceship filled with aliens crashed in Roswell, New Mexico. And the news was that UFO, aliens, outer space, blah, blah, blah. Some people said it was a weather balloon, So, but people believe that it was an actual alien spacecraft. So a story came out this week from some information that had been hidden since 1947. And that is that in 1947, the world's smartest man at the time, Albert Einstein, was at a convention in Chicago with a student assistant from Princeton. He was a teacher at Princeton. And this lady, her name was Shirley Wright, was one of his graduate students. So she went to a conference with him in Chicago. And during the conference, when it was over, he came over to her and he says, "Hey, Shirley, come take a ride with me." And back in those days, you did that. So he gets her into a small plane, and he's Albert Einstein. You do whatever Albert Einstein tells you to do. Right, John? So, so they fly. She says in this recording that was just revealed, they flew for hours and hours and hours, deep, deep, deep into the Netherlands, into a desert, and they landed, and they were taken to a building. And in that building, she and Albert Einstein, and this is what she says, saw a crashed spacecraft. They could see the dents. They were taken into a hangar. And she said it took up a quarter of the hangar. So obviously a pretty big spacecraft. If that's not enough, they took her to another building. And in that building were 5 bodies of what she was told were aliens. And I love her description. She said that they had uniforms on. They were dressed in tight-fitting suits, but they had no navels or genitalia. So these were alien Ken dolls, is what they were. No way. Now they didn't pull their pants down. She said she was told that they had no genitalia.
Got it. Okay.
These guys, they didn't want to gross her out. Then, so these were all dead. Then they were taken to another building. They had to drive a little ways to this other building. And in that building, she claims they saw one alien being that was still alive. And she said it couldn't speak, but it was gurgling. So it's like it was struggling to breathe. She tells in this interview, which was recorded in 1995, that Albert Einstein told her that alien survived. So what happened after that? So this is 1947. She says I'm gonna do my speculation later, but she says Albert Einstein didn't get to go in there and dissect anything. He didn't get to touch anything. He kind of just walked around and looked. And then he was supposed to write a paper. So she says he wrote something, but all of these researchers have never been able to find what he wrote. He didn't give her a copy. The people who were there told her, and I'm going to quote, "I was told to keep my mouth shut." So, she didn't have security clearance. How she got into the place in the first place, other than the fact that she was with the great Albert Einstein, that's it. She got in. So she goes back to Princeton and lives her life. Now, she apparently spilled the beans once to a guy by the name of Stringfield, who was a UFO researcher. And and he wrote it up in a secret paper that he never published. So as he gets older, he won, and he gave her a fake name, Edith something, Edith, not Bunker, Edith, Edith, I don't know, Edith something. So to hide her identity. So as he's getting up in years, he thinks, maybe she's still around. So he tells his assistant, a lady by the name of Franklin, in 1995, he says, see if you can find this woman. So sure enough, she finds her and tells her who she is and why she's there. And this Shirley Wright agrees to talk to her and said, oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, come on over. So she recorded the interview where she spilled all of that stuff to her. And then Miss Franklin takes it back and nobody will believe her because she has no other supporting information, no evidence. And the question was, well, what would this woman be trying to hide? She told everything,
Right.
but there was no evidence of Einstein going, no evidence of them being let in, no security papers, no nothing. And why on earth would Einstein take an assistant with him? Somebody with no, I know he was eccentric, but that just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. But anyway, this was huge news in the paranormal world, in the UFO world this week. So there's no other accounts of this. Nobody can find anything. The guy who published it, Tony Braglia is his name, Bragalia, I'm sorry. He says that Albert Einstein had admitted that he believed that we were not alone in the universe. But when pressed, whether he had any evidence, he would always give some form of no comment. So he refused to say anything. So this Bragalia says, well, that's clear that he was hiding something. No, it's clear that he didn't want to say anything.
Right.
You can't figure that out. So I think it's worth investigating. And I know there's people that are far higher up in the UFO world than I am, who are now digging deep to see if they can find something. But, here's my question. Let's say it's 2021 and the same thing happens. A spacecraft crashes in the Cuyahoga Valley National Forest right down the street from us. Who is the smartest person in the world that we would bring in, like they allegedly brought in Albert Einstein? In 1947, John, I'm sure you'll agree, you ask somebody who's the smartest person in the world, they're going to say Albert Einstein.
Sure.
Today, if I ask you who's the smartest person in the world, who would you say?
Jim Carrey.
I thought you'd say me, but I'll concede to Jim Carrey.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah. What about who would be the best investigator? Neil, what's his name? Neil deGrasse Tyson. Okay, he's the big, he's like the Carl Sagan of today. But what's his name? The guy in the wheelchair. Now I can't remember his name. He's on Big Bang. He passed away a couple years ago.
Stephen Hawking.
Stephen Hawking. Thank you, John. Yeah. So I would have said him, but he's not. So we don't know. That's a sad state of affairs.
Yeah.
We don't know who the smartest person in the world is. So I have my suggestions, of course. Bill Nye, the science guy. That's who I would bring in. Bill.
Not bad.
Smart guy. Yeah. How about Ken Jennings from Jeopardy? The winningest Jeopardy guy? No, you don't think so?
He's an IT person too, isn't he? Is he some kind of?
He may be, John. You may be right. Yeah. Or how about a local guy? Since I said that we crashed in Cuyahoga Valley National Forest, get his name straight. Matt Amodio, who is currently number 2. Yeah, he's number 2 on Jeopardy. Yeah, number 2 winner from Medina, Ohio. Sure. That's who we bring in. There's our genius. Yeah. How about that? So that's the story of Albert Einstein going to Roswell. Now I wanted to get to some weird monsters before we get to sports here. So let me see if I can run through some pictures here pretty quick here for us. That's not a monster right there. Here we go. Okay, so everybody knows my favorite monster is the Loch Ness monster because it generates more revenue for the people who live around the lake than any other monster. So they did a survey, and basically in England they asked what is the most popular legendary figure. So that would include both monsters and people. legendary people.
Okay.
So, of course, number one was the Loch Ness Monster. Number two was not a monster, it was Robin Hood. Robin Hood was actually got the same number of votes in England as the Loch Ness Monster, but it got more votes worldwide. So, famously, he had more movies than the Loch Ness Monster. Number three was the Kelpie, which is what I have a picture of here. Kelpies are famous in Scotland. They're shapeshifters. They're half horse, half fish. They live in the water. And of course, Karen, all these monsters eventually come out. They turn into a beautiful woman. They kidnap men and they take them back and they drown them.
That's what I would do. Yep.
So Kelpies, these are big in Scotland. We're number three. Number four, they go back to the humans again. King Arthur, another legendary figure. I would have thought King Arthur would have been move up higher on the list than Robin Hood. Also had a great many movies. Number six was another person. I'll get to number five in a second. Number six was another person with a different predicament, Lady Godiva. Now, Lady Godiva was a real person. Robin Hood is still legendary. King Arthur, legendary. Lady Godiva was a real person. The legendary part is, did she really ride a horse naked through the town in order to convince her husband, the king, not to raise taxes? We don't know. The only proof we have is a song from 1967 called Lady Godiva, which, John, I know you remember that song, Lady Godiva. Do you remember what the duo sang it?
Oh, is a duo?
It was a duo, yeah, two guys.
Chad and Jeremy.
What was that?
Chad and Jeremy?
Chad and Jeremy. No, it's the other two guys.
Peter and Alan.
Oh, close. Peter and Gordon.
Oh, Peter and Gordon. That's what I meant.
Right.
Yep,
Peter and
yep.
Gordon.
Sure.
Peter. So just to link this to what we've been talking about, Peter Asher was Peter, and his sister Jane Asher, who dated Paul McCartney, were child actors in the 1950s on a TV show about Robin Hood. So everything that, things that go around come around. I thought that was an interesting little bit of trivia. That song was number one in 1967, bumped out by Winchester Cathedral. And I'm not even going to ask you who did that, because I couldn't.
I know this, Paul. I have the answers.
It was the new something.
The new vaudeville band.
The new vaudeville band. Oh, very good, John. Okay, you get 2 points for that one.
Good.
This song, I can't believe our parents let us listen to this. It's about, I don't know if you remember, and I'm not going to sing it because nobody wants to hear me sing. It's about a movie director who sees this girl in a strip club and convinces her to do X-rated movies. That's what the song Lady Godiva is about. And once he was done filming the movies, he fired her. So she had no money. She had to cut her hair off at the end to sell it to pay her bill. Somebody was doing drugs in 1967 when they wrote that song. That's all I have.
Most likely. Yep.
Now, another one of these monsters that's a woman turning into. This is the Green Man. This is a famous ecological monster in England, and you see that. I remember seeing him in England. People put them on their doors to help the plants in their gardens and in their house grow. So that's a pretty cool monster right there. This is a Selkie. Now, Selkies are half seal and half woman. And what they do is they protect the seals from being slaughtered along the British coast. Another legend. And of course, they turn into a human form and they lure men in and they kill them. Generally, people who are seal hunters. So not good to be a seal hunter. Another one is the red cap. Now, I put this one up here because I love why they call him the red cap. And here it comes.
He's wearing a red cap.
He's wearing a red cap. Why is it red? It's not because he's a Cleveland Indians fan or Guardians. It's because they lived in abandoned castles in England and Scotland, and they soaked their caps in the blood of their victims. That's how you knew that the red cap just had another victim. He soaked it in the blood. You can see his bloody knife right there. Yeah.
Pretty much hard, really.
Sorry about that, John and Karen. The number 10, I can't show a picture of this guy here. the Cern Abbas Giant, which is a 180-foot tall drawing in Dorset, England, along the side of a hill, next to a monastery. And its claim to fame is it has a 12 or 15-foot long penis drawn, erect penis drawn anatomically correct on this figure. And no one knows who did it. They don't know why the monastery puts up with it, but it's a huge tourist attraction, as one would, not be surprised. So anyway, so I thought those were pretty interesting little legends that the English like to believe in. So let's get that down there. I don't want to look at that anymore. And let's look at Karen and John here for a second here. So every week, as I like to mention, I call up my old buddy John and say, John, we need a sport for the week, a weird, unusual sport, maybe something that we could participate, get in shape, and we or get our lovely wives to compete. And every week, John doesn't listen to me. Instead, he finds the weirdest, strangest story that there's no way we'll do it. And I'm afraid that's what's going to happen this week. So take it away, John. What's our sport for the week?
All right, Paul and Karen, sure. And you're definitely right, Paul. We cannot compete in this sport. There's no way. And I'll explain why. Okay, the name of the sport this week is Bossa Ball.
Bossa Ball. Oh, I remember that was from Saturday Night Live. Garrett Morris used to say that. Bossa Ball been very good to Chico.
Very good to me. Chico is
good to me, yeah. I know that's not it, but I thought of that after. Anyway, so Bossa Ball. That sounds Mediterranean.
Well, it is, and it's a unique acrobatic game that is a combination of volleyball, soccer, slam ball, and gymnastics. Bossa Ball was invented in 2004 by a Belgian athlete named Philip Ikmans, who lived in Spain at the time. Bossa is a Portuguese word that means style, and you may know it from bossa nova or samba music, which is a big part of Bossa Ball.
Okay, yeah. So samba music. I love samba music.
Sure.
And there's a chord. Bossa nova means new style. So anyways, sure. Karen, in case you can't imagine what that looks like, this is a Bossa Ball court right here. So John, yeah, you're right. We would never do this sport.
No.
Go ahead. Anyway. What is it? So where do they play it?
Well, from Spain. Okay, Bossa Ball quickly spread to the Netherlands, Brazil, Singapore, Germany, Saudi Arabia, Portugal, Romania, and Kuwait. And each of those countries have successful Bossa Ball teams that travel to tournaments across Europe, the Middle East, and Latin America.
What a weird collection of countries, too.
Yeah, really different. Yeah, it is. Yeah. Singapore has a national Bossa Ball team.
Oh, of course.
Okay. And Turkey hosts the Bossa Ball World Cup, and the Netherlands hosts a major Bossa Ball league. But
so there is a World Cup of Bossa Ball.
Yes, and that's held in Turkey. And again, the Netherlands has the only major Bossa Ball league that's organized and recognized.
Okay, so I'm sure I know it gets worse than this, John. So tell us how what exactly is a bossa, and why are they standing on what looks like a trampoline?
Yeah.
Sure. Well, since the game is a combination of several games, there are some basic pieces of equipment that are required to carry out a successful competition. And they are a net, a ball, which is usually a volleyball, an inflatable court with a trampoline in the center. That's the key. An inflatable court with a trampoline in the center. And then for the mood, bossa music.
So it's like the inside of a bouncy castle with the middle having two trampolines in it.
That's
for
exactly
those of you
right.
that can't see our pictures here.
Right. So anyway,
but huge.
Sure.
It's massive. How big is that court, John?
Well, the court can be any size, but the recommended dimensions are 50 yards long and 30 yards wide.
So that's a half a football field right there.
Right. Yes. And the net
much bigger than volleyball. Yeah.
Be much bigger. And the net is 3 meters high. Now, both sides must have a trampoline on the defending side surrounded by an inflatable scoring and out of bounds sections. So again, it takes some doing here to make sure that you have all the right equipment to be able to, to have a match.
So that's a 10-foot, how many meters? 3 meters. So it's a 10-foot high net.
Yeah, well, yes, 10 foot. Yes, yes. Now, the person monitoring the game is called the Samba referee. The Samba referee makes the calls on balls being in play or out of play, and also picks the Samba music playlist for the contest.
Okay.
So
there's Samba music playing during the whole thing, which I think is really cool.
Okay. So how is Bossa Ball played, you may ask? Well, it's played between two teams of 3 to 5 players each. Similar
That's what
to
they look
volleyball.
like there, right? There's a
Similar,
little
right,
stick
similar
line,
to
yeah.
volleyball, the basketball teams try to hit the ball into the opponent's field to score points. The players can use their hands, feet, or bodies to hit the ball into the opponent's field of play. The players are not allowed to touch the net, and they have to remain on their side of the net with at least one body part touching their own side.
Oh my God.
You have to play by the rules. Now,
Okay.
the real twist comes with the trampoline and the inflatables.
Obviously.
The attackers from both teams are positioned on the trampoline while others surround them are positioned on the inflatables. So the serving team throws the ball into the air and hits it so that it goes over the net to the other side, where the opponents will have up to 5 contacts, a maximum, with the ball, and then return it to the serving team.
So if you can imagine, for those who can't see the pictures, imagine it's a volleyball game, except right at the bottom of the net, where they feed the person that spikes, there's a trampoline. So they get to jump on the trampoline, and we have a picture here of a guy who is upside down in the air, having just jumped off the trampoline and is kicking the ball over the net. This is
It's
wild.
incredible.
That's
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh. So, and to the point of scoring, how they score in Bossa Ball, if a team hits the ball to the opponent's team, to the opponent's team, and they cannot return the serve in due time, then a point is awarded to the hitting team. 3 points are given if the trampoline section, if you hit the trampoline section of the court, while the 1 point is awarded if the hit goes anywhere else on the inbound inflatables.
So it's a little like volleyball scoring, although it sounds like it's a little looser.
Yeah. Yes, definitely.
Looser rules. Yeah.
And they have bossa nova cheerleaders.
Bossa Nova cheerleader dancing to Bossa Nova. Yeah, we have a picture of a Bossa Nova cheerleader right here.
Right.
I think that I would go just to listen to the Bossa Nova music.
Now, the team that
Sounds like
scores,
fun.
no, I'm sorry, the team that scores 25 points first wins the match.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So 25, that's kind of like volleyball too. Yeah.
Right. Bossa Ball is usually played over the best of 3 or 5 sets. And again, people determine that up front. Now,
yeah, well, here's a video before you get out of there, John. I got a couple of videos here. Look at that, Karen. He's
That is
just
incredible.
leaping up and kicking it over here.
Yeah.
Here's another one.
They're very athletic, obviously.
Wow. Unbelievable.
Now, it's a fun game which involves gymnastics, volleyball, soccer, and of course the Bossa Nova. If you start a tournament in your town, remember the most important rule. If a girl from Ipanema walks by and smiles, everyone must stop and say, ah.
Oh, that was
there
good.
she is, the girl from
The girl,
Ipanema walking down the beach.
Girl from Ipanema.
There you go. She's coming for the Bossa Ball match.
Yep.
And everybody has to say so one of the all-time great songs, whether you're a Bossa Nova fan or not, the girl from Ipanema. Wow. Unbelievable, John. Yes, you're right. There's no way any of us would get anywhere near
we can't get
Bossa Ball court.
Yeah, not right now anyway, that's for sure.
Not when we were in our 20s. Not when we were very inebriated.
You're right.
Oh Lord.
That's just too dangerous to be called a sport, and yet they do it. So
you really have to be skilled, obviously, to compete in it. I mean, you really do.
Yeah. And all those the strange combination of countries too. Saudi Arabia,
right, exactly.
Singapore. They must have money.
Germany and the Netherlands, and
Yeah.
nothing, no notation of the U.S. at all.
None in the U.S. I was going to say, kids, if you're listening at home, they try it out in your bouncy castle for the next birthday. Tell your dad.
Okay.
Yeah, no, we I'm sorry about the hole, but we were training for Bossa Ball.
Exactly.
All right, John. Well, thanks again for that great sport. And that means it's time for Bluff the co-host, everybody's favorite weird news
Yes,
game.
it is.
We play it every week. What I do is I read 3 stories that are similar in style to the stories we've been telling all afternoon, with the added twist, as John would say, that some of them are real, but some may be bluffs. And it's up to John and Karen and you playing at home to decide whether it's a real story or a bluff. You're willing to you're more than willing to wager. Wagering is allowed. So let's get right to it. Karen and John, put your hands on the buzzer.
Okay.
And
Ready.
Story number 1. Police in Australia were called to a kangaroo breeding farm north of Sydney after a farmer found 2 baby kangaroos with their tails tangled together, trying to jump around like they were in a picnic sack race. According to the farmer, the baby joeys had just left their mother's pouches and seemed to have a panic attack. Not seeing their mums, they jumped into the next nearest pouch, an empty feed bag hanging from a nail. While struggling to get out, the baby's tail somehow got knotted together. Despite having to hop together, they managed to evade the police for a half an hour before finally being caught and untangled. The farmer is keeping his empty sacks on a shelf and sending a recording of the whole thing to Australia's funniest home videos, mate. So the 2 baby kangaroos who got their tails so tangled up they had to hop together. What do you say, Karen? Real or bluff?
Wow. Geez. So once they come out of the pouch, does that mean they don't ever go back in the pouch?
I
don't know.
Once they can jump on their own.
They don't have
to go back in.
Yeah. But they jumped into another pouch and they both jumped together. That's like a little odd.
Oh, Karen's
Yeah.
analyzing this.
Yeah.
But
CSI. I'm going to just say it's true.
Okay. Karen says it's true. CSI
Sure.
Bluff the co-host here. Okay. John, how about you? Karen says it's true.
I think it's true also. I can see that where
You can imagine it.
Yeah, I can imagine it. They go to the empty feed bag and assume it's a pouch, and they're just born, right? Obviously, so
yeah, they're just.
I'm gonna say it's true.
John says it's true. Okay, so let's see. So
As strange
Karen
as it
says it's true. John says it's true. The kangaroos with their tails tied together. Let's check with the judges, and the judges say, "Sorry, that's a bluff."
Oh, jeez. I just can't win for losing,
It could make for a good movie, maybe.
Yeah.
Right. Our cartoon, at least, like the Roadrunner versus
Right.
the kangaroos. Okay, so the score is 0-0. This doesn't happen very often when both of you miss the first question.
No, doesn't.
You're right.
Let's see if you can pick it up in question number 2. Hands on the buzzers. If you're ever in Argentina at an art show and someone tells you they have an eye on a painting, they may not be a buyer, they may be the artist. A painter in Buenos Aires has made a name for himself by, get ready, inhaling paint up his nose and squirting it onto a canvas through his eyelids. He says he uses a non-toxic paint and includes a video of himself making the painting, so the buyer knows that it's authentic. He won't say how he learned this unusual painting technique, but admits his family thought he was crazy until they saw how for. So, the man in Argentina who inhales paint, squirts it out of his eyeballs onto a canvas and sells them for a lot of money. What do you say, John? Real or bluff? And would you do that?
Well, let me start first. No, I would not do that at all. I don't think it would be very, very healthy. Secondly, this is one I pray is a bluff. Oh my God, I can't even imagine doing this, what this guy is supposed to be doing. And then what kind of artwork is it, by the way? If
Yeah.
it comes out of his eyeball, I mean, what does it look like?
We
Oh,
need to make a road trip to Argentina to find out. That's
I
all
guess
I
we
can
could do
say.
that.
To
Yeah,
Buenos Aires.
we could do that, you know, and take our spouse.
Okay, so John says it's a bluff. He says that his famous "I hope this is not true" bluff answer. Karen, how about you?
I have to hope it's a bluff because that it's just not a healthy thing if he's doing it. No.
Not a healthy thing, but I'm
No.
sure everyone will agree with that. Okay,
Yep.
so both of you say that it's a bluff. Let's check with the judges and get ready to make a road trip because that's a true story.
Oh no.
You can Google
Oh.
it. You can watch him. I thought he was squirting him out of his tear ducts, but somehow the paint goes through his sinuses and comes out under his eyelid, and then he squirts it onto the canvas.
Can you-
Yeah, and he sells them, John. You know.
Well, Paul, are there any examples? Any photos of the artwork?
Oh, there's photos all over the internet. Google the guy who paints by inhaling paint.
I will.
Pouring
The shows.
out of his eyeball.
Oh, my God.
He has a
That's
name. I didn't write down his name. So
Wow.
let's see. That's
0-0.
0-0. Wow, this is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Wow, that writer that they have on Bluff the Coast is really good.
Yeah, he is. Or bad.
Okay, or bad. Okay. Okay, the points are doubled in round 3, so both of you have a chance to win.
Okay.
Let's get right to it. Story number 3. No one wants to get hurt on a job, especially while doing something embarrassing. But a man in Taiwan did just that and was able to collect workman's comp insurance after he fell asleep naked on the floor and woke up to find a giant centipede biting his groin. He managed to kill the centipede, but the pain forced him to go to the emergency room for treatment and, unfortunately, take time off of his job. When he told his insurance agent the entire story, including the part about sleeping naked on the floor, he was amazed to find out that he was entitled to reimbursement for loss of work due to an accident. He didn't say who his insurance company was, but a gecko was later seen eating the dead centipede. So the man in Taiwan who is naked on the floor, gets bitten by a centipede, has to go to the emergency room, and his insurance company paid workman's comp. Real or bluff, Karen?
Well, what kind of job was he working that he's naked?
Zoom.
That's a great question.
Something on Zoom. Yeah.
God.
That's all I can say.
Okay, so based on the writer who has put these stories together for us, I'm going to say it's true.
Oh, for those of you not on YouTube, if you could see the look on Karen's face when she said that.
Yeah.
Okay, so Karen says that I'm not even going to go over it again.
Yeah.
John, what do you think? This is your last chance.
I think this is a story that is so strange, it's true. I'm going to say.
So strange, it must be true. That's John's other favorite answer. It's so
right.
strange, it must be true.
Okay,
so you both say it's true.
Right.
I'm not going to go through it again. Insurance pays workman's comp for the guy that gets bitten in the groin. The answer, according to the judges, is you're both right. That's a true story.
Oh my God.
Way to go, Karen. Way to go. At least
That was I tried to find out what he did for a living, but the story didn't have any information on that. So I'm assuming he was doing maybe he was on break.
yeah, really.
His home job. Yeah.
Wow.
Holy
You
smokes.
you
So let's
really
see.
dug those out of the dirt this week.
out of the dirt. Thanks. That's a
So
nice
to
term.
speak. Yeah.
Okay, so the final score on Bluff the Co-host this week was Karen 2 and John 2. That means it's a tie.
Okay.
That's better than a loss.
Yep.
Not as good as a win, but some inspiration for you to do better next week. So that of course means that we've reached the end of What in the World. I want to thank Karen Hale, our producer and co-host and media mogul at newclevelandradio.net. Go there, find out how to download What in the World, and then once you listen to us, take a look at and listen to all of the great podcasts Karen has on newclevelandradio.net, the place to go for podcasts in the world, not just in Cleveland, but in
You're
the world.
right.
That's right. And of course, my old friend John DiNallo, thank you so much for those strange sports that you come up with all the week, every week. And your trivia knowledge always comes through when we least expect it. So thanks for your color commentary as well, John.
You're more than welcome, Paul. And, it was a great show again, as always.
So next week, we'll be checking up on William Shatner, an update on William Shatner. And
Yeah,
on that note,
maybe I'll just go, be live there.
Let's see. Blue Origin launches in Texas, if I'm not mistaken. No, maybe, but they land in the water.
Yeah,
So.
I'll go stand in the water.
Okay.
Whatever.
You want to see this? All right, great. Good. Tune in next week as Karen goes to watch William Shatner while she's standing in water. You don't get that anywhere else except on What in the World. And on that note, we'll see you next week.
All right.